Hey, beautiful people, and welcome to another episode of the State of Flow podcast with me, Lena Kaliyah. And today it's gonna be hopefully a bit more of a quickie because I'm on a time limit here. But I want to talk about what your physical symptoms actually say about your emotions. And as we know by now, our mental, physical, and emotional health are directly linked and really work in synergy. And so Ayurveda is a firm believer as a system of that all physical symptoms have a spiritual root cause, meaning a mental, emotional root cause, which is so true. And I see it obviously in myself, but in my clients over and over again, how those things interconnect, especially when I get clients in for physical treatment, for somatic body work and Ayurvedic treatments and things, that I can learn so much about what is going on for them just by working with their physical bodies. I love doing my body work. I find it so fascinating how the body speaks as the mind quietens, and it's incredible to have the honor and be able to guide people into this beautiful, deep, and almost transcendent state while they're on the table. And so, because it really opens and loosens and limbers their entire bodies and allows their bodies to gradually open and give in and relax and recalibrate and free up once our conscious mind is out, and gives the body free reign and allows it to unfold again. And so that has inspired me to do this podcast episode today, because I always find myself when working with my clients and doing body work on them to just in my head notice, just by feeling their skin and seeing their bodies and noticing different symptoms and different ailments and that, I'm like, oh, okay, so this must be going on for that person, and that ties in with this and that ties in with that. And that really has nothing to do with having a certain skill to recognize those things. It's got to do with being in tune and in touch with your body and with your own circadian rhythms and your own natural rhythms, and really recognizing your body's natural needs and tendencies and so forth. And it's so easy to cultivate. Again, it's another one of those easy yet profound things, that the key is just persistency and to really practice body awareness through embodiment practices, through mindfulness, through journaling, through just spending a bit more time being concerned with what's going on inside instead of outside. And the more you start doing that, the more you will realize that your physical symptoms are messengers. They are messengers. It's not, many of us live in this kind of silent fight against our bodies and feeling like we're victimizing ourselves in front of our bodies, pretending like our own bodies are against us. And it's simply not the case. If we do a reality check, what the case is that we are just so disconnected from our physical bodies and often our entire beings and our real needs, because we are so concerned with what society is dictating us and what they're doing over there and what's working for someone else, that we think our body is against us, where really our body is the ultimate healer, the ultimate guru, the ultimate freaking self-development mentor that you need. You really don't need anyone else but what's inside of you on a physical level. And that's the talking machine, your body. It's telling you, hey dude, so there's something going really wrong in here, and if you really listen to what I'm saying right now with those symptoms that I'm expressing, then you get to the root cause of that and can just unravel it from the very ground upwards. It's so amazing. And so essentially, obviously I'm looking through the lens of Ayurveda. You know how in Ayurveda we have the 3 different doshas, Vata, Pitta, Kapha. If you're unfamiliar with Ayurveda yet, I'd encourage you to go back to my first episodes. I'm pretty sure it's episode number 2 and 3 that give you a quite rough overview of the basic foundations of Ayurveda. As well as on my website on elevatemindbodythrive.com. Once you click in the menu bar, Elevate here, and you go to Ayurveda and Consults, you find a lot of free Ayurveda resources you can familiarize yourself with, just so you get the most out of my content and what's being discussed here on the podcast. So according to Ayurveda, we have the three doshas: Vata, Pitta, and Kapha. Vata, which is the more airy kind of type; Pitta, which is the fiery type; and Kapha, which is the earthy type. And so really envision or familiarize yourself with those qualities of those different elements, right? So they obviously have different qualities to them. Fire is quite pungent and hot and heating and spreading and things like that, acidic. Air is rather clear, subtle, mobile, and so forth. And earth, has the more, solid, stable, grounded, heavy, cold, dull qualities to it, right? So when speaking about those qualities and elements, it's not the elements as in waters in the ocean, but the energetic frequency of those elements, if that makes sense, the energetic qualities, essentially. And so according to those, see how those three body types, the doshas, are different. They manifest in different ways in our bodies. And if we can start to recognize that with those different qualities that I just named, and they are just some of 20 gunas or qualities, they can be the key to recognize what direction our symptoms are coming from and tracing them right back to the root cause. For example, I had a client on my massage table the other day, and she had quite reddish skin, like not sunburned skin, but just her complexion is kind of, having little moles and freckles and little spots here and there, and a lustrous, I think is the word, complexion. And she had little dry spots and things like dermatitis or like eczema, rashes on different body parts, including her scalp, especially the scalp, a quite red face. And what that is telling me, and I'm just going through a few examples, is okay, there's quite a bit of heat in this person, because rashes and skin conditions are pitta conditions. It's a sign of excess heat in your blood, in your liver, and that directly relates to certain emotions, not, which are in that particular example, frustration, irritability, anger. And it doesn't mean that person, she's one of the most beautiful, lovely, kind people ever. It's got nothing to do with running around being angry and frustrated all day, but it's got to do with the tendencies that you have, like emotions you quickly fall into, or unresolved emotions you might not actually even be aware of that are just underlying here. So generally, whenever we have liver conditions going on, like liver congestion, and and that has to do with for example, getting smelly body odor, it's a sign of that your lymph is not properly draining, which is a sign of that your liver is not efficiently cleansing and functioning. Or when you have skin things going on like rashes and so forth, but also acne and outbreaks and pimples and things, that's also a sign of kind of too much toxicity in the body, which is a sign of too much tension on the liver, and it's just dysfunctional for whatever reason. And remember that those words like dysfunctional, they're not chronic. It's the current state that's just not in balance. And so all these kind of things that are associated with the liver, for example, are associated with excess heat, excess fire, excess pungency, excess acidity in the body, which is all that fire element, pitta, which is all associated with those certain emotions that I just named, the so-called negative fiery emotions, like frustration, irritation, being egocentric, being very stubborn and very my way or the highway, underlying anger and so forth. Then you have other things, that's one example for a certain type of conditions. Then you have other conditions that could be more earthy, more kapha, that manifest in your physical body. For example, if you have things going on with your lungs, especially mucousy type things, or in your sinuses or in your throat, feeling blockages and things there. A blockage doesn't mean that you necessarily feel constricted through the area. It can be things like having frequently swollen tonsils, or frequently attracting in a cold, or constantly having this weakened immunity and constantly falling for those head cold, sinus, airway kind of things. that can sometimes, especially the mucus type things where you feel heavy and sluggish and constricted and things, can often relate to feeling stagnant in mental emotional realms as well, to feel as though you are maybe on a plateau, maybe feeling sluggish and just heavy and kind of unmotivated in different areas of your life. So it can often, hypothyroid, things like that, often go hand in hand with feeling depressed. Oh, also, I'm just throwing in all those disclaimers. But if you know me, you would know by now that when I say things like, when I talk about depression or anxiety and so forth, I don't label it as we would in the West. Like, I'm not, in no way am I indicating that that's a condition that you are. Rather, I actually feel quite opposed to quick labeling, and I think that we all experience depressed days every now and then, and it doesn't mean that we're actually depressed. It's not us, it's just the current state we're in, and everything can move on, right? It's like the weather in the sky right now, it's super overcast, and I really love the weather right now, but we always know there's a blue sky beneath. Everything will pass eventually. It's the same with everything else, especially our emotions. If we allow ourselves to hear them, so we become aware of them, to feel them, and to then eventually release them and let them go. It's always about this circulating the energy process, and that's where our physical symptoms come in, because they're not just a menace and an annoyance, but they are actually a sign telling us there's something wrong, you better look at it, otherwise it'll keep happening and it'll just get worse, and it'll just manifest in an even more magnified way in your physical body somewhere. So yeah, liver and things is the heat. Then we have the, what I just said, lungs, mucusy stuff can all relate to, feeling stagnant or stuck in your body, in your mind, in your life, in your emotional realm somewhere. Or then, just to bring another example of Vatary conditions, so the airy, ethery kind of type, would be feeling frequently flustered or nervous or anxious or spacey, just really ungrounded. It can also come, in your physical body as symptoms of fatigue. Or, sometimes I just notice my own German accent come in there. Sometimes it cracks me up, but I just keep talking. So fatigue. It can be poor circulation, it can be feeling chronically just really tired and exhausted, it can be things like burnout, it can be things like constantly feeling stressed, would be things like constipation, gas, irregular digestion and indigestion, kind of really irregular circulation that manifests and feeling hot and then feeling really cold, but usually feeling cold, but also getting hot quickly, but then always having this fluctuation in temperature and so forth. That all is a sign of, hey, listen up, something in your Vata dosha in your body is out of balance. And so that then often relates to the emotions that are already, or states of mind that are already mentioned, like feeling scattered, feeling anxious, having too many thoughts, a really busy mind, feeling always flustered, never grounded, always busy, and then therefore really unproductive and inefficient because you're always overwhelmed. Overwhelm is a big one. Even feeling fearful and nervous. That can directly relate or be pointed to through those physical symptoms you're getting. And so that's basically all I want to raise awareness about in this particular episode, that, I cannot, obviously, I don't know what's going on for you right now as you're listening to this. So if you are interested in diving deeper in that, and you do feel like you need some more hand holding and a bit more individualized and accountable help one-on-one, then reach out in order for you to, create more mind-body awareness and balance, and really start to learn to understand and recognize and then act on your body's signs and symptoms and ailments and needs in order to really rebalance your mind, your body, your emotions and therefore amplify all areas in your life. Or you can, if you're watching this YouTube video right now, if you don't know yet, all my podcasts are video recorded as well on my YouTube channel, Elevate Mind Body Thrive. If you're watching this right now, you can see how stoked I am. I'm so lit up talking about these kind of things. I'm so fascinated by how everything, literally everything, is so interconnected, not just within our own minds and bodies and our own entire states, but how that relates to our entire life, to how we perform in our entire life, to how we meet ourselves, how we meet the world, how society is playing out in the world, and how we are playing out in the world as a human race. And this whole, synergy of just freaking everything is so mind-blowing. And what's even more mind-blowing about all this is that it's all so simple yet profound. We all have the ability to become the masters of our own life, to become so in tune with our bodies and our minds, to always rebalance ourselves whenever we're off balance somewhere, and come back to center and recalibrate and become our own healers. And everything we need to know in order to make a change is already inside of us. And sometimes the key is just to learn how to regain access for it. It's like our new way of life in our modern society sometimes has gotten us to throw the key away, or we all just lost the key to accessing this great potential. Not all of us, and it's totally retrievable, but it's just a matter of finding the key and learning to unlock that lock to really access your greatest potential again, and relearn how to understand and connect with your own body and your own mind. And it's such a beautiful and powerful and potent process. And this is really what I focus on in my work with clients. I don't want you to come back. I'd love you to, because I love all my clients, but nothing lights me up more than seeing those eyes of aha moments in my clients when we're talking, and when things make sense, and when they recognize all those synergies and how things work together, and when they start to work themselves out and rebalance themselves and gain all those holistic tools that they need to go out there and really become and thrive as their own gurus and greatest healers, and live the lives they want to live. So yeah, if that sounds like you, and you want a little bit more personalized support, and you do have any symptoms going on right now, whether that's mentally, emotionally, physically, any aches and pains, and you're not quite sure what to make of it yet, or you feel like you've done all the right things and it's still not really making a difference, then do reach out. You can book in with me for a consult, or if you're contemplating ongoing work with me, book in for a free clarity chat, and we can see where you're at under elevatemindbodythrive.com, and you find the little booking button in the corner. And as always, I would love to invite you guys into our Flow State Community Facebook group, the State of Flow Community Facebook group. Check it out. The link is in the show notes, as is the booking link to my website. And join us in the Facebook group. Just because this episode is coming to an end, it doesn't mean that our conversation is at an end. And I would love to hear what is going on for you guys right now. What are you feeling in your body? How are you interpreting your symptoms? And what do you think of this episode? Let me know any thoughts, ideas, insights, comments in the Facebook group, or use the hashtag, the State of Flow podcast, on the socials, and let's connect that way. All right, beautiful people. Thanks for having been here. Thanks for showing up for yourself by listening to each of those episodes you're listening to, and to take further action and transform this information into transformation. Do come and let's continue this conversation on the socials or in the group. I'll see you next time, beautiful guys, and have a fantastic rest of your week.